Good morning. Today we are going to be reviewing for chapter 9, conic sections, and we are going to start with the multiple choice questions, and then we're going to go over into the open response. You want to make sure that you work out the problems by yourself first, then come back to the YouTube videos to confirm or see what you did incorrectly. If you are only copying the problems as I go through, it doesn't really help you. But let's go and start with problem number 1. It says solve. So we need to be able to solve for y. It also says check, be sure to check for extraneous solutions. Sometimes whenever we solve for logs, we might get an incorrect solution because whatever, we can only take the log of a positive number. It cannot be 0. We cannot take the log of a 0 number, or we cannot take the log of a negative number. So we always have to come back and check. So first, what I notice on the left hand side, I have 2 logs. And before I try to get rid of the logs, I want to be able to combine them into one log. So I combine both of them into one log, just like combining like terms in that same sense. And because there's an addition, we are going to be multiplying y multiplied by y minus 4. I'll place in brackets. And that's equal to the log base 5 of 32. Now that I only have one log on the left hand side and one log on the right, you can think of canceling the logs. Or we can just, the opposite of a log is a base, so we're going to exponentiate both sides to base 5. That cancels. Let me multiply this out. Y times y will give me y squared. Y times negative 4 is negative 4y. This cancels. The base in the log base 5 cancels. And we just have equal to 32. I want to be able to solve for y, and I have a quadratic equation. So I want to see if I can factor it. And by looking at my solutions, I know I should be able to factor it. So I'm going to move my 32 to the left to be able to make it equal to 0. Y squared minus 4y minus 32 is equal to 0. Now I can factor equal to 0. Factors of y squared are y and y. Factors of 32 are 8 and 4. This is a negative, this is a positive. And now that I factor and it's equal to 0, because they're multiplying, I can use my zero product property. So I know that y minus 8 equal to 0 or y plus 4 equal to 0. One of them must be 0 or both. I'm now going to move my 8 to the right, becomes a positive 8. And I'm going to move my 4 to the right, becomes a negative 4. Now be careful. If I plug, I know that a lot of you guys will be selecting B right away because both are y values. But remember that this has to be bigger than 0. So if I plug in an 8, 8 minus 4 is 0. 8 minus 4 is 4, and that's greater than 0. So that's fine. If I plug in an 8 in here, it's just 8, positive 8, so that's fine. If I plug in a negative 4, I cannot take the log of a negative number, so that's incorrect. Even if I plug it in here, negative 4 minus 4 is negative 8. It has to be bigger than 0. So my only answer is letter C. Problem number 2. Which of the following is simplified form of the following expression? We have 3 logs. I want to be able to condense all 3 logs into one. And I'm going to place in parentheses. The 12 and the 4 are adding, so that means I need to be able to multiply the 12 times the 4. The 6 is, there's a minus, that means I'm going to divide by 6. So it'll be the log base 5 of, some of you guys simplified, but I can just multiply, it will be 48 divided by 6. It'll be the log base 5 of 8. So your answer will be D. Just be careful. Some of you guys are selecting letter A because you just see it that you do it in your head. That's 48. There's a minus. I'll be on the bottom, but it should be written as only one log, not 2. Problem number 3. On problem number 3, I have a multiplication. Now, remember, whenever we have a multiplication, we just want to factor everything and then cancel it. Whenever we have an addition, we want to make the denominators the same. If it's an equation, the purpose is to cancel the denominator. In this case, it's a multiplication, so I'm just going to factor each one. Take out the common factor. One number divides 2 and 4. I can take out 2. Do they both have an x? Yes. What do I need to multiply 2x to get 2x squared? That'll be x. 2x times what is negative 4x? That'll be negative 2. I'm going to go and factor the denominator, so it'll be double parenthesis. Factors of x squared, nothing to take out, so no common terms, so just double parenthesis. X and x. Factors of 16 will be 8 and 2, 4 and 4. That will give me 8. So and they both have to be negative. Remember, if this is a positive, they both have to have the same sign. Because they have to add up to negative 8, they both have to be negative. I'm going to take out a common factor here. So one number divides 2, 4, and 16. I can factor out 2. What's left inside? X squared minus 2x minus 8. I can still factor this out now with double parentheses. It'll be x and x. That'll be 4 and 2. I need to add up to negative 2, so it'll be negative 2 and positive 2. On the denominator, you should recognize that this is a square, and there's a minus in between. So we have x minus 2, x plus 2. So x minus 4 cancels, x minus 2 cancels, and we have x plus 2 cancels. So we just have 2x and 2 will give me 4x, and we have an x minus 4 on the denominator. So the answer is C. Be very careful when you factor out. Some of you guys are having troubles with the sign, and that's what's messing you up. And also, when you want to be able to factor the common term first. If you are able to factor a common term, you should do that first. And we were able to do that on both numerators. Let's continue with problem number 4. What are the x-intercepts? So I want to be able to find the x-intercept. To find the x-intercept, you let y equal to 0. And now we need to be able to find where it crosses, so we just find the solutions. It's basically the same thing. X-intercepts, solutions, roots, or zeros, it means exactly the same. So I'm going to go and factor it. Gives me 3x and x. Factors of 20 are 4 and 2. 10 and 2 as well. 4 and 5. Let's see, 4 and 5. I want to place my 4 here. That gives me 12. My 5 here. So 12 minus 5 will give me 7. I'm going to that positive 12 minus 5 will give me positive 7. So you want to be able to double check. That will give me 12x. That will give me negative 5x, and that add them is positive 7x. Now, use my zero product property. 3x minus 5 equal to 0. X plus 4 equal to 0. Move the 5 to the right becomes a positive 5, and divide by 3. So it gives me x is equal to 5/3. Move the 4 to the right becomes a negative. X is equal to negative 4. So my answer is x equal to negative 4 and positive 5/3. Now some of you guys are getting confused with the vertex and the x-intercepts. They're two different concepts. On the x-intercepts, I'm trying to find out where it crosses the x-axis. I'm trying to find out where it crosses the x-axis, or the solution to the roots. When asking for the vertex, I'm looking for the lowest point. Two different concepts. X-intercepts, you want to be able to make that y equal to 0, factor it, and then solve it. Problem number 5, solve. So same thing as number 4, that we were trying to find out where it crosses the x-axis. If I look at the answers, I know that I need to either complete the square or use the quadratic formula. I can't factor it just by looking at the answers. They're a little more complex with the radical, plus or minus. That should give you little hints on what to do. Now, because the first number is -3, I'm not able to complete the square, even though we have an even number here. If it was just x squared plus 4x minus 4, then I can complete the square. I am forced to use the quadratic formula just because it's a coefficient of 3. So I have x is equal to opposite b. This is a positive 4, so it'll be a -4. Plus or minus the square root of the discriminant all over 2a. A is -3. The discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. b is 4 squared minus 4. A is -3. And c is -4. So when I simplify, that gives me 16 plus 12 times -4. 16 minus 48 is -32. So that goes inside. Now, I need to be able to do the factor tree for this. That will give me 8 times 4, 4 times 2, 2 times 2, 2 times 2. So let's go and I'm going to take out my twins, or just, some of you guys think of this as the square of 16 times the square of 2, and then 16 will be 4 square of 2. You can do it that way as well, and it will be much faster, or you can do your factor tree. So I'm going to take out a 2 and a 2, so it gives me x is equal to -4 plus or minus 2 and 2 is 4, square root of 2, there's 1, 2 inside. And because there's a negative inside, it will come out as an I. Divided by, I must separate my fraction, divide by -6, divide by -6. That gives me 2 over 3, plus or minus. Just this negative will make the negative and positive, but you're basically the same. I'm now going to reduce my fraction as well. Divide by 2, so it gives me 2i square of 2 over 3. And that'll be my final answer. So my answer will be, letter is a positive on the front, so I know it's not B and not A. And 2/3 I will be letter C. Just be very careful whenever you do your factor tree, and some of you guys are getting confused with the sign and you get the incorrect number here. And also, you want to be able to separate it and reduce your fractions. Be careful with your signs.